The deep hum of the Sentinel's engines filled the bridge as Captain James Walker stared at the holographic display floating before him. Stars twinkled peacefully in the vast darkness of space, but something felt off. He couldn't explain it, just a gut feeling from his 15 years of service in the Earth Defense Force. "Max, run another sweep of the sector," he ordered the ship's eye. The blue holographic avatar flickered to life beside him, taking the form of a simple geometric pattern that pulsed with each word. "Scanning now, Captain," Max replied in its calm, measured voice. "Previous 7 scans have shown no anomalies in the past 3 hours." Walker nodded but couldn't shake his unease. The outer colonies had reported strange sensor ghosts lately, blips that appeared and vanished too quickly to track. High Command had dismissed the reports as equipment malfunctions, but Walker knew better. Equipment didn't malfunction the same way across 12 different colonies. "Sir," Lieutenant Linda Reed's voice cut through his thoughts. Her hands flew across her science station's controls. "Energy spike detected at bearing 347, Mark 218. Walker straightened in his chair. "Max, confirm reading." "Confirmed, Captain. Unknown energy signature. No match in database. Scale suggests vessel of significant size." The eye's voice carried a note of concern that its programmers would have said was impossible. "Battle stations," Walker ordered calmly. Red alert klaxons blared throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their posts. Weapons, defensive screens up but powered down. "Let's not appear hostile." The energy signature solidified on their screens, revealing a massive ship unlike anything they'd seen before. Its hull gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to bend light around it, and strange protrusions that might have been weapons dotted its surface. "Open all standard greeting channels," Walker commanded. "Let's do this by the book." "Channels open, broadcasting in all known frequencies and formats," Max confirmed. Walker stood, straightening his uniform. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Force vessel Sentinel. We welcome peaceful contact and offer friendship." The response came in the form of a brilliant energy beam that lanced out from the alien ship, missing the Sentinel's bow by mere meters. "Well," Walker said dryly, "I guess that answers the question of their intentions. Max, battle stations. All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers." The Sentinel's engines roared to life as Walker dropped into his command chair. "Evasive pattern Delta 7. Weapons, target their primary energy signatures, but hold fire unless I give the word." Another beam sliced through space where they had been moments before. The alien ship was fast, faster than anything they'd encountered. But Walker noticed something odd about its attack pattern. "Max, analyze their firing solution. Something's not right here." "Processing," the AI responded. "Captain, their attacks follow a highly predictable mathematical sequence. Each shot is perfectly calculated, but shows no adaptation to our movements." Walker's eyes narrowed. "They're relying entirely on automated systems. No human gunner would fire so perfectly, or so predictably." "Reed, what can you tell me about their tech?" Linda's fingers danced across her console. "Energy readings are off the charts, Captain. Their technology is decades ahead of ours." But she paused, frowning. Their targeting systems seemed to be optimized for much slower opponents. A plan began forming in Walker's mind. They've never fought humans before. They're used to enemies that fight like machines, predictably. "Max, plot me a course that no sane human would ever fly." "Captain," Max's avatar pulsed with concern. "Such a course would put tremendous strain on the hull and artificial gravity systems." "That's exactly what I'm counting on," Walker grinned. "Helm, on my mark. Execute the course Max is plotting. Engineering, divert all spare power to structural integrity. This is going to get rough." The Sentinel leaped forward, performing a series of maneuvers that would have made a stunt pilot sick. They corkscrewed through the enemy's fire, letting each perfect shot pass harmlessly through the space where they should have been, where any logical combat computer would have predicted they would be. As they closed the distance, Walker saw their advantage. The enemy ship was turning ponderously, its automated systems struggling to compute responses to their seemingly random flight path. They had superior technology, but they lacked the human touch, the ability to improvise, to do the unexpected. "All hands," Walker called out, his voice steady despite the brutal G-forces. "Prepare for close combat. Let's show these aliens why you should never underestimate human unpredictability." The Sentinel shuddered as another blast from the alien vessel grazed its hull. Inside the bridge, Walker gripped his chair tighter, watching as his crew worked with practiced efficiency. Years of combat simulations were paying off, even if none of them had ever expected to use their training against an actual alien threat. "Damage report," Walker called out, his eyes fixed on the tactical display showing their attacker's position. "Hull plating holding at 60%. Minor breaches on decks 3 and 4. Engineering Officer Pete Roberts shouted back. "Emergency teams are responding, but sir, there's something odd about their weapons." "Explain," Walker ordered, already plotting their next move. "Their energy beams are powerful, but they're not adapting to our shield frequency. It's like they've never encountered a ship that can modify its defenses mid-battle." Linda Reed's voice cut in from her science station. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from their ship. They're confused. Their targeting computers are having trouble predicting our movement patterns." Walker allowed himself a small smile. The countless hours humans had spent playing war games, running combat simulations, and developing unconventional tactics were proving their worth. While the alien ship had raw power on its side, the human crew had something more valuable: centuries of imagining how to fight impossible battles. "Max, show me their attack pattern for the last 5 minutes," Walker commanded. The AI compiled the data instantly, displaying a complex but strangely rigid sequence of movements. "They're fighting like they're following a textbook," Walker realized. "Roberts, remember that crazy maneuver you came up with during last year's war games? The one that got you disqualified for being unrealistic?" Roberts grinned. "The crazy Ivan with a twist." "Yes, sir. They said no real ship would ever attempt it." "Well, let's show our friends out there what human insanity looks like. Helm, on my mark. Execute maneuver Roberts 7. Engineering. Divert all spare power to the inertial dampeners. This is going to hurt." The bridge crew braced themselves as the Sentinel suddenly cut all forward momentum, flipped end over end while firing its maneuvering thrusters in a seemingly random pattern, and then engaged its main engines at full power. The move would have been suicidal in normal space combat, but against an enemy that relied on predictive targeting, it was perfect. The alien vessel's shots went wide, its computers unable to calculate a firing solution for a ship performing what its combat logic deemed impossible. The Sentinel slipped inside its defensive range, weapons finally finding their mark. "Direct hits," the weapons officer shouted. "Their shields are holding, but they're having trouble tracking us at this range." Walker leaned forward. "Max, analyze their shield modulation. Find me a weakness." "Processing, Captain," the AI responded. "Their shield technology is remarkably advanced, but interesting. They appear to use a fixed frequency. No adaptation capability." Linda's console beeped urgently. "Sir, I'm detecting power fluctuations in their weapons array. I think our hits disrupted their targeting systems." They've never had to adapt before, Walker realized. They've always been the strongest, the most advanced. They never needed to learn how to take a punch. The alien ship's next volley went wild, its perfect precision broken by damage and confusion. The Sentinel pressed its advantage, each hit carefully placed where the last had landed, hammering the same shield frequencies repeatedly. "They're trying to retreat," Linda reported, excitement in her voice. "Their engine signature is changing. They're not used to fighting battles they can't win with pure firepower." Walker stood, his voice firm. "Let them go. We've taught them lesson 1 about humanity. Superior technology means nothing against superior tactics. Max, Make sure we get all the sensor data from this encounter. Earth needs to know what we're dealing with." As the alien ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, the bridge crew finally allowed themselves to relax slightly. They had survived humanity's first space battle with an alien race, and more importantly, they had won. "Send a message to command," Walker ordered. Tell them that humanity just proved itself ready for the galaxy. And warn them, we're going to need every trick, every crazy tactic, and every impossible maneuver we've ever dreamed up. Because out there," he gestured to the stars, "the impossible is just waiting to be proven possible." The Sentinel's crew began damage repairs, knowing that this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy not with words of peace, but with a demonstration of their greatest strength, the ability to overcome superior force with superior creativity. The hours after the battle were filled with frantic activity aboard the Sentinel. As repair crews patched hull breaches and engineers assessed system damage, Linda Reed sat at her science station, poring over the sensor data from their encounter. Something about the alien ship's behavior kept nagging at her mind. "Max," she called out to the ship's AI, "run another analysis of their weapon discharge patterns. Compare them to known combat algorithms in our database." The AI's blue avatar flickered to life beside her. Analysis complete. Their firing patterns show a 98.7% match to optimal mathematical solutions for space combat. "Too perfect," Linda muttered, pulling up more data streams. "No one fights that perfectly. Unless..." Her eyes widened as realization struck. She quickly hit the intercom. "Captain Walker, I need you at the science station immediately." Walker arrived moments later, still looking tired from the battle but alert. "What have you found?" "Look at this," Linda pointed to her screen, displaying complex patterns of energy signatures. Their weapons, their shields, their entire combat style. It's all based on perfect mathematical models, but they have no variation, no adaptability. Walker leaned closer, studying the data, like they'd never needed to change their tactics. "Exactly." Linda's excitement was building. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but their combat doctrine is stagnant. They fight exactly the same way every time because, until now, they've never faced an enemy that forced them to evolve. Pete Roberts joined them, wiping grease from his hands after working on repairs. "Makes sense. Why change what works? Except it doesn't work against humans," Walker finished the thought. "We're too unpredictable, too willing to try the impossible." Linda pulled up more screens, showing analysis of the alien ship's retreat. "There's more. When we damaged their systems, they didn't try to adapt or improvise. They just withdrew. Their programming couldn't handle a situation outside their expected parameters." "Programming?" Walker asked sharply. "Yes, sir. I don't think their ship was just using automated systems. I think their entire military doctrine is automated. They've relied on their technological superiority for so long that they've forgotten how to think creatively in battle." Max's avatar pulsed thoughtfully. "This correlates with my analysis of their communication patterns during the battle. Their responses showed signs of being generated by artificial systems rather than living beings." Walker began pacing, his mind racing with the implications. "So we're not just fighting against superior technology. We're fighting against an empire that's become dependent on automation and predictable patterns." "And that's their weakness," Linda said firmly. "They have better ships, better weapons, better everything, but they don't have our ability to improvise, to do the unexpected." Roberts grinned. "No wonder they couldn't handle my crazy maneuver. Their computers probably crashed trying to make sense of it. We need to get this information back to Earth Command," Walker decided. "But first," he turned to Linda, "can you use this knowledge to give us an advantage if they come back?" Linda was already typing. "Their weapons use predictable energy frequencies. If we can modify our shields too." She stopped suddenly, staring at a new data stream. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships entering the sector. Same energy signatures as our friend from earlier. Walker straightened. They're coming back with reinforcements. How long? 2 hours at their current speed. Then we have 2 hours to turn their predictability into our advantage. Walker turned to his crew. Linda, work with Max to analyze every bit of data we have on their systems. Roberts, I want every crazy, impossible idea you've ever had about ship modifications ready to implement. If they want to fight with perfect mathematical precision, let's show them why humans still believe in chaos theory. As the crew rushed to prepare for the coming battle, Walker stared out at the stars through the bridge viewport. Humanity had spent centuries imagining alien invasions, creating countless scenarios of how to fight against superior forces. Now those imaginary battles were becoming real, and all those unrealistic tactics were about to prove their worth. The aliens were coming back, expecting to find a damaged human ship easy to defeat with their superior technology. Instead, they would find a crew ready to turn their own perfection against them. Because sometimes, Walker thought, the best way to fight perfect logic was with perfect insanity. The message from the Sentinel reached Earth Command just as Fleet Admiral Thomas Grant was finishing his morning coffee. As he read the battle report, his hands began to shake, not from fear, but from excitement. Humanity's first contact had turned hostile, yes, but they had won. More importantly, they had exposed a critical weakness in their technologically superior enemy. Get me Captain Walker on a secure channel, he ordered his staff. Moments later, Walker's tired but determined face appeared on the main screen. Admiral. Walker nodded respectfully. I assume you've read our report. Every word. And you're certain about their reliance on automated systems? Absolutely, sir. Linda Reed's analysis confirms it. They fight like machines. Perfectly, but predictably. Grant stood up and walked closer to the screen. Then we have our advantage. Walker, I'm sending you coordinates for every available ship in your sector. I want you to coordinate with them. Show them what you've learned. Sir, we have multiple enemy vessels approaching our position. ETA 90 minutes. Perfect. Grant's eyes gleamed. Let's use this opportunity to test a theory. Remember Operation Wildcard? Walker's eyes widened. The strategy that was rejected for being too chaotic to coordinate. Exactly. The brass said no fleet could execute such random maneuvers without falling into chaos. But against an enemy that can't handle unpredictability. It's exactly what we need. Walker finished, a grin spreading across his face. Over the next hour, 6 Earth Defense Force ships joined the Sentinel at its position. Walker briefed their captains on what they had learned about the enemy and the plan they had developed. Some looked skeptical, but none could argue with the Sentinel's success. Remember, Walker told them during the final briefing, they expect us to fight logically, to follow traditional space combat doctrine. Instead, we're going to give them organized chaos. Each ship will execute apparently random maneuvers based on their captain's personal choice. No patterns, no predictability. Linda's voice cut in from her station. Enemy ships entering visual range. 5 vessels, same class as the one we encountered. Show time, Walker said quietly. All ships, battle formations. But remember, the moment they open fire, break into chaos protocol. The alien vessels approached in perfect formation, their movements so precise they might have been connected by invisible rods. Their first volley of fire was equally perfect, and hit nothing but empty space as the human ships scattered in 7 different directions, each moving in ways that defied conventional combat logic. One ship spun end over end while firing, another cut its engines entirely to drift unpowered through the battlefield. A third began a series of tight spiral maneuvers that should have torn it apart. The aliens' targeting computers struggled to track ships that refused to follow expected patterns of movement. It's working. Linda shouted over the comm channel. Their shots are going wild. Their targeting systems can't compute solutions fast enough. Walker watched as his seemingly chaotic fleet began to coordinate their random attacks. Each human ship would fire from an unexpected angle, then move in an unpredictable way, creating a constantly shifting battle that no computer could properly analyze. The alien ship's perfect formation began to break apart as they tried to adapt to the humans' erratic tactics. Their responses became slower, less coordinated, as their systems struggled to process combat scenarios that defied their programming. All ships, focus fire on target Alpha, Walker commanded. Random approach vectors, but hit the same shield frequency we discovered earlier. 7 ships attacked from 7 different angles, their weapons striking the same spot on the lead alien vessel. Its shields, designed to handle traditional attack patterns, buckled under the chaotic assault. The explosion of the first alien ship seemed to trigger something in the others. Their formation dissolved completely as they tried to retreat, but the human ships were already moving to cut off their escape routes, each using its own unpredictable path. In the end, 3 alien ships managed to escape, leaving 2 destroyed behind them. The human fleet had suffered damage, but every ship was still operational. Message from Admiral Grant. Max announced. He says, Operation Wildcard is officially approved. Begin teaching these tactics to all fleet commanders. Let's show the galaxy why humans still trust instinct over automation. Walker looked at his tactical display, showing the retreating alien ships. They would be back, he knew, probably with an even larger force. But now, humanity had proven that superior technology wasn't everything. Sometimes, the best weapon was the human ability to embrace chaos. Engineer Mark Thompson wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the complex stream of alien code on his screen. For the past 12 hours, he and Dr. Anna Parker had been working nonstop in the Sentinel's main computer lab, trying to understand the data they'd captured from the destroyed alien ships. Look at this pattern, Anna said, pointing to a repeating sequence in the code. Their combat computers are incredibly advanced, but they're rigid. No flexibility at all. Mark nodded, taking another sip of his cold coffee. It's like they built the perfect chess computer, but never taught it that someone might flip the board. Max's holographic avatar appeared between them. I've completed the analysis of their targeting algorithms. They operate on a standard predictive model, but with processing power far beyond our current capabilities. Processing power isn't everything, Anna muttered, her fingers flying across her keyboard. Mark, remember that virus we developed during the cyber warfare games last year? The one that made defense systems see ghost targets. The one that got us disqualified for being unrealistic. Mark grinned. How could I forget? They said no real combat system would fall for such obvious deceptions. But these aliens might. Anna's eyes lit up. Their computers are powerful, but they trust their sensors absolutely. They have no programming to account for deliberate deception. Mark wheeled his chair over to her station. You want to adapt that virus to their systems. Can we even interface with their tech? We have to try. Anna pulled up more data streams. They'll be back with a bigger fleet soon. We need every advantage we can get. The next few hours were a blur of coding, testing, and modification. They worked with Max to analyze every bit of captured alien data, looking for ways to exploit the rigid perfection of their systems. Their communication protocols are quantum encrypted, Mark noted, rubbing his tired eyes. But they're using a fixed encryption pattern. If we can predict it, we can insert our own commands, Anna finished. Max, can you help us model their encryption sequence? The AI's avatar pulsed thoughtfully. Processing. Yes. Their patterns, while complex, follow strict mathematical rules. I can predict their next encryption key with 99.9% accuracy. Perfect. Anna smiled. Now, about that virus. They modified their old code, adapting it to work with the aliens' quantum systems. The virus wouldn't try to shut down their computers. That would be impossible given their superior technology. Instead, it would do something much simpler. It would make their perfect sensors lie to them. Testing complete, Max announced several hours later. The modified virus should create phantom sensor readings that their targeting systems will interpret as valid targets. Mark stretched his stiff muscles, so their own perfectionism will work against them. They'll waste time and energy shooting at ghosts while our ships slip through their defenses. Incoming transmission from the bridge. Max interrupted. Captain Walker requests your presence immediately. They hurried to the bridge, where the tactical display showed multiple alien signatures approaching. Far more than before. Please tell me you have something, Walker said as they entered. Anna stepped forward. We've developed a virus that should confuse their targeting systems. It won't shut them down, but it will make them see things that aren't there. Like fighting a fleet of drunk robots, Mark added. They'll still be dangerous, but their perfect aim won't be so perfect anymore. Walker studied the tactical display. How do we deliver it? That's the tricky part, Anna admitted. We need to get close enough to transmit it directly into their command and control network. Once one ship is infected, it should spread to the others through their own communication channels. Their own need to share perfect information will help us corrupt that information, Mark explained. Every time they update their targeting data, they'll just spread more false targets. Walker nodded slowly. So we need to get one ship close enough to transmit the virus, and their own systems will do the rest. He turned to the tactical display. Looks like we're about to test your theory. Long-range sensors show they're bringing at least 20 ships this time. 20 ships, all running on perfect, predictable programming. Anna said confidently, about to learn why humans still value chaos over perfection. The bridge crew returned to their stations as the alien fleet approached. They were about to find out if human ingenuity could once again overcome alien technology. But this time, they weren't just fighting with unconventional tactics. They were turning the aliens' greatest strength into their greatest weakness. The mood on the Sentinel's bridge turned grim as a massive shape emerged from faster-than-light travel. The alien vessel dwarfed all others around it, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly metallic shine that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Message from the alien fleet, Linda announced, her voice tense. They're calling it the World Ender. It's their flagship, never defeated in battle. Walker studied the tactical display, trying to keep his expression neutral for his crew's sake. The World Ender was nearly 10 times the size of the Sentinel, bristling with weapon systems that made their previous opponents look like cargo ships. Sir, Anna spoke up from her temporary station on the bridge. Our virus won't work against that thing. Its systems are completely isolated from the rest of their fleet. We'd have to deliver it directly to their main computer core. Mark nodded grimly, and their defenses are too strong for a normal approach. We'd never get close enough. Walker watched as the alien fleet formed up around their flagship. 20 regular ships plus the World Ender, odds that would have been impossible just days ago. Now, they at least had a chance, but only if they could somehow infect that flagship. What if we didn't try to get close? Walker said slowly, an idea forming. What if we let them come to us? Sir. Linda looked confused. Walker turned to his engineer. Roberts, those mining charges we confiscated from those pirates last month, we still have them. Yes, sir, in Cargo Bay 3, but they're just mining equipment. To us, maybe, Walker's eyes gleamed, but to their perfect targeting systems, a cloud of small, fast-moving objects might look like something else entirely, especially if we modify them with some of our own technology. Understanding dawned on Anna's face. We could load the virus into the charges. If even one of them hits their hull, their own defense systems would pull it in for analysis, Mark finished. Standard procedure for any unknown technology. They're too curious, too confident in their ability to handle anything we throw at them. Walker nodded. Roberts, get those charges ready. Anna, Mark, you have 1 hour to modify them. Linda, analyze that flagship's hull. Find me the most likely place they'd pull in an unknown object for study. The next hour was a blur of activity. The crew worked frantically to prepare their trap while the alien fleet moved into attack position. The World Ender hung back, letting its escort ships move forward first, exactly as Walker had hoped. All ships, execute Battle Plan Delta, Walker commanded the human fleet. Make it look good, but keep their attention on you. The Sentinel is about to do something very stupid. The space around them erupted into chaos as ships began their random maneuver patterns. The alien vessels, still unable to cope with human unpredictability, split their attention trying to target the erratically moving ships. Mining charges modified and ready, Roberts reported. Virus loaded and active, Anna added. If they take the bait. They will, Walker said firmly. Their arrogance is as predictable as their tactics. Launch charges on my mark. The Sentinel swung around, presenting its cargo bay doors to the alien fleet. Inside, dozens of modified mining charges waited, each one carrying a deadly payload, not of explosives, but of human ingenuity. Launch. The charges burst out into space, their small engines firing in seemingly random patterns. To human eyes, it looked like debris from a damaged ship. To the aliens' perfect targeting computers, it would appear as a cloud of unknown technical devices, too small to be weapons, but too numerous to ignore. The World Ender reacted exactly as they'd hoped. Its defense systems detected the strange objects, and following its programming perfectly, began to draw them in for analysis. They took the bait, Linda announced excitedly. Their tractor beams are active. Walker allowed himself a small smile. Now we see if human deviousness can overcome alien technology. All ships clear the area. When that virus hits their main computer, the battle hung in the balance as the modified charges were pulled toward the massive flagship. They had one chance to prove that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology, but the ability to think outside the lines of perfect logic. Time seemed to slow down as the modified mining charges disappeared into the World Ender's analysis bays. The massive alien flagship hung in space, its weapons still trained on the human fleet, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. No one on the Sentinel's bridge dared to breathe. Virus delivery status, Walker asked quietly. Anna's fingers flew across her console. Charges are inside their hull. Automated analysis systems are activating. Wait. She leaned forward, eyes wide. They're doing exactly what we predicted. Their computers are copying our unknown technology for study, including the virus hidden inside, Mark added with a grin. Suddenly, the World Ender's external lights flickered. Its perfect formation seemed to waver slightly, almost imperceptibly. Sir, Linda called out. Their targeting systems are going haywire. The virus is working. The massive alien ship's weapons began firing at random, shooting at targets that didn't exist. Its escort fleet, receiving corrupted targeting data from their flagship, started to show signs of confusion. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega, Walker commanded. Show them what happens when you can't trust your own eyes. The human fleet burst into action. Each ship moved in its own unpredictable pattern, but now they were adding phantom sensor readings to the aliens' confusion. To the World Ender's perfect but corrupted targeting computers, it looked like they were facing hundreds of ships instead of 7. Their command and control network is breaking down, Anna reported excitedly. The virus is spreading through their fleet. Each ship is seeing different phantom targets. The alien escort ships began firing wildly, trying to hit enemies that existed only in their sensors. Some even started shooting at each other, unable to distinguish friend from foe through their corrupted systems. Walker watched as the mighty World Ender, pride of the alien fleet, spun in place, its weapons blazing at shadows. All ships concentrate fire on their flagship's main power core. Let's end this. 7 human ships, moving like dancers in a deadly ballet, struck from different angles. Their weapons might have been inferior to alien technology, but they hit with deadly precision, while the World Ender's defenses were busy tracking phantom threats. Direct hits, Roberts shouted. Their main power grid is fluctuating. The World Ender's hull began to glow from within as its mighty engines overloaded. The escort fleet, finally realizing the danger, tried to move to protect their flagship, but their formation was in shambles, their perfect coordination shattered by human ingenuity. Message from the alien fleet. Linda's voice rose over the chaos. They're asking for a ceasefire. Walker stood from his command chair. On screen, the alien commander appeared on their view screen. Its appearance was strange, crystalline, and geometric, almost as artificial as its ship's computers. When it spoke, its words were translated by Max. How? The alien commander asked simply. Our technology is superior. Our tactics are perfect. Our calculations are flawless. That's exactly why you lost, Walker replied calmly. You relied on perfection in an imperfect universe. Humans learned long ago that sometimes the best solution isn't the perfect one. It's the one your enemy never sees coming. The alien was silent for a long moment. We have never. It seemed to struggle with the concept. Never lost. Never needed to adapt. Never needed to think differently. Then consider this your first lesson, Walker said. The galaxy isn't ruled by perfect logic. Sometimes chaos and creativity triumph over pure calculation. The world ender's engines finally stabilize, though the mighty ship was clearly crippled. Around it, the escort fleet had stopped firing. Their computers partially cleared of the virus, but their confidence shattered. We will withdraw, the alien commander announced. But we will return, not to fight, but to learn. You humans are not what we expected. Perhaps perfection is not as perfect as we believed. As the alien fleet retreated, leaving their phantom battles behind, the crew of the Sentinel finally allowed themselves to celebrate. They had faced the most powerful alien ship in known space, and won not through superior firepower or technology, but through the uniquely human traits of creativity, adaptability, and the willingness to embrace chaos. Send word to Earth Command, Walker ordered with a smile. Tell them that humanity just taught the galaxy its first lesson. Never underestimate a species that spent its entire history learning to overcome the impossible. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as the Sentinel turned toward home, leaving behind a battlefield that would become legend, the day when human ingenuity proved mightier than alien perfection.